Today I would like to talk a little bit about footwork for singles, and I would just generally introduce most of the defensive and offensive situations. And of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate and just write down in the comments. Okay, we're still in Thailand. So first situation is we're defensive. That simply means that when I'm doing the jump, we call it a plyometric or jump like example, I'm going to be targeting to fall down. One of the typical mistakes with many players, even elite players, is when they jump up and then they fall down, because at this time of the jump they obviously can't go anywhere. So in the moment when I do a very nice split step, I have to be able to fall down completely. And if this is the position where I am, one of the basic rules and very important rules for singles would be that my arm is the first one that goes, so it can bring me out of balance. And I have to be out of balance after I have the jump, otherwise I'm too stable and I can't go anywhere. So in the moment when I do a split and I open my arm, or split and I open my arm, I'm already going to go to a specific situation. Now, one of the things that you have to understand very well is that in the single and all disciplines, everything is related with a tactical situation. So I will try to explain a little bit more. If I am in a normal defensive, or what we call constructive defensive, so I can control the stroke, but I'm not able to, and I have a lot of options, but I'm not able to attack, so I'm taking away the tempo. That will be my normal defense, that is going to be my normal defensive lifts, or I will be in a normal neutralization altogether. So the footwork will look like something like this. When I do a split, I make a push step, I make my stroke, I recover the position, and I split. Then immediately when I do something for the net, I will do, of course, split. If it's something very nearby me, I will just do the same, a push step, then I'm going to recover and I'm going to split. One of the key would be my last step to become the jump for the different directions. And of course, if I have to cover the whole distance while being defensive and I split, I will have to do 1, 2, then I will have to recover. Now, after I have deadlift, so I'm defensive and I make a very nice lift, I will have to get back. If I make a really big lunge and I make that lift, I'll have to make a small additional push step, what we call, or additional step, so I can actually recover. Now I'm allowed to cross the legs. So if I make this one, I will be allowed to cross the legs and make the last step as a jump. Now, one of the typical mistakes is after I do the additional step is if I cross the legs too much, or actually I cross the hips, or I cross in the situation where I'm not able to react. So in this moment that is very risky, and I have to be able to control my hips so I'm not necessarily getting out of balance. Same story on the backhand side. If I make my split step and I do something that is very nearby me, of course I can just turn immediately and I can recover the position. I don't have to do any additional steps. It's just my last step will do and become the jump. If I'm very far away and in the moment when I really need to make some kind of a push step, in the moment when I do this and I open, I will just do the adding position and I'm going to split altogether. Same on the backhand side. Of course, if I'm really fast nearby my body, I'll have no time to rotate the leg. I'm going to be able to split and open directly the position and control everything with my forearm. More likely, so it will be a defense with the left leg. And if I'm able to go further away, or I have to go further away, I'll have to open my arm and at the same time open my left leg so I can make a space for the right leg. And in that case would mean I'll make my split, I'll open to get the arm and the leg, and I'm going to make the defense, recover the position and split again. Rear quad does not make a lot of difference. In the rear quad we have a possibility where we will be doing the neutralization. So in the moment when I do this and I have a push step and I do one more and I'm neutralizing or making a defensive footwork, I'm under pressure, but I still have all the choice. I can clear, I can cut the shot or play even a flat smash or play a drop. This is my situation. And I make something like this and then I push back. I'm going to be again making the split defensively according to what choice I did, of course. And I do split, a push and recover, and then immediately recover and a split. Again, the key would be to stay as low as possible. Very similarly to the backhand neutralization, so if I make my split and I push, my arm would open directly. We already covered the backhand video with all the backhand strokes, so it was you can see something about that as well. And then of course I'll make the stroke, I'll make my stroke, I'll recover and I'll split. Now, one of the things that I just did, and of course I don't do it in a high tempo intensity at the moment, is when you make the last step and you hold the jump. So when you're working on a specific stroke or specific thing, and your opponent, on a high level opponent, holds the stroke, you have to hold the jump. So in simply said, if I make a clear, I'm neutralizing, I make a clear, and I'm recovering, and my opponent is not yet hitting, but I'm already in the center, I can't just stay here and then make a jump because this takes too long time. If I do this and I recover and jump, then it will be the same. It will be from the center when I do the lift and jump. So I'm going to go maybe a little bit higher, but I'm going to go very low without making a jump or extra jump at the side. Now, this is very basics for the defensive footwork. When you're, of course, defensive, that means you're playing more likely away and your opponent can attack you. So you're playing more likely to the rear court of the opposite side. If you're playing offensively and you start switching the positions, that will be one of the basics. And today I just mentioned from the defense to the offensive positions. And what will be the offensive positions? Typical offensive positions would be towards the both net corners. So I would be standing with my right leg, and a typical position would be I'm standing with the right leg here as well. Now, of course, I could also turn and stand with the left leg, and I also could be here with the left leg according to the specific situation. One thing which is crucial that you understand is that this is not a step, this is a jump. So if I have to call it correctly, it's not a push step. If I have to call it correctly, it would be a split jump. Same as here, most of the names would be plyometrical jump or jump. If anybody understands that it's going to go in the air. If I understand it is a falling jump, this is similar here. When you make a stroke at the net and you go back, you're actually falling down. And you want to be low enough in this position so actually you can go high. One of the, again, typical mistakes would be when somebody hits here, he goes much higher in the jump position, or he jumps up, and until the opponent hits the shuttle, you're already going to be out of balance. So the key in this case is just imagine it's a split jump. We call it a split offensive jump. Doesn't matter if it's with the left or with the right leg. That's much more tactically related according to the position of your opponent, shuttles and so on. And it's something what you want to be very low at. So if this is my defensive position on the falling, I'll make this one and then I'll recover the offensive position. So if I make a short defense, which is really good, and this allows me that my opponent is very low, I'm no longer defensive. So if I do a split, very nice position and jump, this is my offensive position. If I do the crossway, of course I will cross and jump. Now typical mistakes would be that the jump is as well turning all the way. So I'm putting my back to the net, which will have a problem. I'm not going to react and I'm going to over-rotate, so I don't want to do that. So the very basic offensive position would be where my right leg is closed. Maybe if I play a very perfect stroke, I'm going to be oriented towards the shuttle, so maybe I will be parallel to the sideline, but that's everything what I want. Now, when do we rotate with the left leg and the offensive position of the left leg? This is really related with the tactical area, and at this moment I don't want to go there, but I'll just mention two specific situations which allows you more likely almost always to do it without really thinking too much. The first part is when you are offensive from the rear court. So let's say I was defensive, I make a push, I'm making my scissor, and I make a really nice offensive, very fast, short cross drop with a, or cut drop, which makes my opponent very low position. So in this case, I will use a footwork which will recover my offensive position with the left leg. We call that footwork a little bit like Peter Garda footwork. Well, don't ask me why. So I would be offensive towards this corner with my left leg. Another position which really allows a lot to rotate the left leg is when you make a cross backhand defense and the precise cross backhand defense a little deeper away from the net and fast enough, which means I have to protect much more this corner and I'm expecting a push, and if there is a stop I will be able from here to go and recover the position. Remember, if you make this one it's very, very soft and precise, you have to close the net because the first one they can play is just a soft one in the net and you're going obviously to lose the balance. I'll stop here because there is a lot more to talk about specific positions. I hope that this fires a little bit. So we covered very basics of the defense, very little bit about defense to offense, offensive positions. I'll talk a lot more about offensive situations and positions, and please, if there's anything, just comment down at the video what would you really like to hear more. Thank you.